Welcome to Untangling Math. So this video is division, like as in long division, as in by hand, the hard way. Okay, it's probably repressed memory, it's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide a couple of numbers. And the first thing we want to look at is what it means. So let's say you have something like 148 divided by 5. Well, what you really want to know is we're looking at how many times 5 will go into 148. So like let's say you have this big box that's 148. That doesn't really matter. It could be square feet, whatever you want it to be. We want to know how many of these little small boxes, which is 5, we want to know how many of those will go in there. We might look at it another way. Let's say you have quarters and dollars, right? So here's some quarters. And we want to know how many quarters go into $1. $1. Okay. Well, if we look at it, a dollar is 100 cents. A quarter is 25 cents. So if we want to know how many quarters go into a dollar, we're going to take 100 and we're going to divide it by 25, which in this case we know is 4 because 4 quarters go into a dollar. So okay, we have 148 divided by 5. That's our original problem. So if we have 148 and we want to divide it by 5, this is what we do. Let's see here. 148 divided by 5. We'll see this written several different ways. One of the main ways we see it is looking like this. So that's our little division symbol. We read this 148 divided by 5. People get this mixed up a lot. Like my students get this mixed up sometimes. They'll think it needs to be written like that because they're looking at, well, okay, I want to know how many times 5 goes into 148. But that's not what this one means. This one means how many times does 148 go into 5, and that's not really what we want to know. Okay, another way you'll see it written is looking like a fraction, like 148 divided by 5, that way. Any of those is fine. It's all still the same thing. Okay, but what we want to do is we want to actually divide it. So 148 divided by 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide it by hand the long way. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use our little division thing like that. Sometimes you'll see in textbooks they'll make it kind of curved like that. A lot of times I just put it straight down because sometimes when I'm going fast I accidentally make it looks more like a square root or something like that. So I just put it straight down because then I know I'm writing it the right way. Okay, if I want to divide 148 divided by 5, 148 goes inside the little division sign. My 5 is going to go on the outside right here. Okay, so I want to divide that. Let me erase this and get it out of the way all pretty. Okay, so I'm going to divide this. Well, I can't just divide 5 into the whole thing all by itself because if I could do that already, I wouldn't need to do it by hand. So what I'm going to do, there's some steps. Our first step is we're going to look at the 5. And we're going to start at the left of the number. We're working our way that way. And we're going to look at the digits. Well, 5 won't go into 1 because 1 is smaller than 5. So then we have to look at the first 2 digits. 5 will go into 14, right? So we know that 5 times 2 is 10. Now we know that 5 times 3 is 15. Well, 15 is greater than 14, so that won't work, but it does work with 5 times 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a 2 up here. And if you really want to get technical about it, this is 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put it in the second spot. But okay, because the 1 was smaller than 5. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply. So we're going to go 2 times 5. So that goes here. Then we're going to subtract those. Right now we're not looking at the 8 at all. We're only just looking at the 14. So we're going to go 14 minus 10. That gives us 4. Okay, now we're going to start the process over again. So we say, okay, well then how many times does 5 go into 4? Well, it doesn't, right? Because, I mean, it does, but it would be a decimal. It doesn't go, like 5 is greater than 4, so that won't work. So what we need is we need another digit. So we're going to bring this 8 down. Ta-da! We put it right there. So now we're going to look at this, and we're going to go, okay, well, how many times does 5 go into 48? Well, we know that 5 times 9 is 45. We know that 5 times 10 is 50. So we're going to use 5 times 9. Okay, let me erase that line so I don't confuse myself. Okay, 5 times 9, I'm going to put the 9 up here. And I'm going to go 9 times 5 is 45. I put that right here. And then again, the same thing, I'm going to subtract it. Well, 48 minus 45 gives me 3. And 5 is greater than 3, but I'm out of numbers here. So, that's it. It's 29, but then I've got this 3 left over. Well, this leftover number is called my remainder. And what we do with that is we come up here to the top, we put an R, and we put like this. So now we have 29 with a remainder of 3. That's how you say that, 29 with a remainder of 3. Okay. Yes, no? We're going to say yes. Okay, let's do it again. Let's say we have 379 divided by 12. We'll go a little bigger this time. We're dividing 2 digits instead of just 1. Okay, no big deal. We do it the exact same way. So I'm going to go 379. I'm going to put that under the division symbol. I'm going to put the 12 right here. Okay. Now, I'm going to do it the exact same way that I did before. 12 obviously won't go into 3 because 12 is 2 digits, but it will go into 37 because 37 is bigger than 12. Okay, well, I know that 12 times 3 is 36. Okay, so that's going to be a 3. I'm going to put that up there. And then I'm going to multiply. So 3 times 12 is 36. And then just like we did before, I'm going to subtract that. So that gives me a 1. And then now I'm going to start over and look at 1. Well, 12 won't go into 1, right? Because it's just 1 digit. So I need another digit. I'm going to bring this 9 down. And so now I'm looking at this and I go, okay, well, I have a 19. Well, 12 times 2 is 24, which is greater than 19, so I can't use that. So I'm just going to use a 1. Ta-da! And now 12 times 1 is just 12. I'm going to subtract those. 19 minus 12 gives me 7. So 7 is my remainder. So I'm going to come up here and put that up here. So my answer then will be 31 with a remainder of 7. That's it. And it doesn't matter how many numbers you're dividing, you always do it the exact same way. Let me do a weird one just to show you. Okay, let's say I have 489 divided by 12. And you'll see why this is weird in just a second. Okay, so I have 489. I'm going to put it under the little division symbol, dividing it by 12. Okay. So I'm going to look at these first two numbers because we already know that 12 is greater than 4, so I can't just look at one digit. Okay, 12 goes into 48 4 times because 12 times 4 is 48. So I'm going to put my 4 up here. And 4 times 12 is 48, so I write that there. And then I'm going to subtract it. And you're probably saying, well, okay, well, that's not weird. That's exactly what we did before. True. I have a 0. Okay, well, obviously 12, number 1, first off, that's just one digit, so it wouldn't be able to go into it anyway, but also it's 0, so it just makes it weird. Okay, so I need to bring down the 9. When I look at this, I have two numbers. This kind of looks like a backward 6 because I wrote my 0 a little funky. Okay, let me fix that. It's still a little funky. That's okay. I have my 9. 12 won't go into 9, but you'll notice that this is a 3-digit number. Our answer is going to be a 2-digit number, and we have 2 digits here, except that this first digit is 0. Well, okay, fine. That's okay. 12 is less than 9. 12 is greater than 9, so 12 won't go into that, but we have this number here anyway. This isn't like a remainder from before where we subtracted. This was we were pulling it down. So 12 won't go into 9, so I'm going to put a 0. And right now you're going, wait, what? What is happening? Okay, 0 times 12 is 0. I'm going to subtract that, and I get my remainder of 9. So this is 40 with the remainder of 9, which is kind of seems weird, except 12 times 40 is 480, which notice that we started with 489, so this is 9 more than that, so it makes sense that we have a remainder of 9, right? But just it's weird because we have this extra little two-digit thing going on right here. 12 won't go into that, so we have to put it 0 because we have to have the right number of digits, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, so that's our intro to long division.